And so I think what you're saying is such an important point, because people say things like, follow your dreams,
Yeah.
follow your passion. Hey, follow your talent.
Yeah. Follow your talent.
What is it that you are really good at? And are you prepared to do the work?
Yeah. The
Really
10,000
hard work.
hours, right?
Yeah.
Sandy, the 10,000 hours. And by the way, if you look at my library, it's full of business books. It's full of stories.
Yeah.
You've got to get good at a skill, and people, I think, underestimate that now. They became too superficial. But you got to know your shit, right? You got to
Yeah.
know. You got to know what you're good at, and you got to invest in that also in your free time. And then it starts propelling you. And exactly, well, you've seen my career. I've never asked for a job. Because if you get good at it, you get success and you make a difference, then people want top talent. So people go, do I have to do? No, just do a great job. Over deliver on what you promise. And normally the career sort of takes care of itself. But I think we don't talk about enough about really building a skill base to really become good at something. The second thing I was fortunate, by the way, to also, and I think is having some great bosses, different bosses, great boss. My first boss, I still remember, Håkon Andersen, a Norwegian guy, superb marketeer, but like many Norwegians, hyper competitive. He would not allow to lose any market share at all, obsessed with winning and always growing the business. And these sort of lessons, when you're young, stay with you. And so every job, every boss, every experience you have, you put some of that in your backpack and you go on. So New Zealand taught me to become a really good brand manager and portfolio manager, but also always winning and being obsessed about winning versus competitors. I mean, I had to stand in front of the Colgate offices, counting how many people would go in and out of the office, having aerial pictures of the factory to estimate their capacity in terms of how much they could make, to really understand, what are they doing? How good are they? What's their cost structure? But this sort of external competitive sort of mindset combined with building great brands, which is what I learned in New Zealand. So that was a great foundation as a lesson as well for young people. Go and work for some tough, great bosses that gives you great skills that then can propel you into the future.
Situations from other just, kinds of things, I've watched him do that. So I think this is very, very interesting. I just wanted to kind of put a pin in. I mean, how you have become global is pretty fascinating. I mean, already.
And I think what you've already said, Sandy, as well, the people that have sponsored, you've backed me, right? Because when you are a leader and you want to take a business to another place, it never goes the way you want it, right? There's always things that go right, but things that go wrong. And that's at that moment, you need people that gives you protection as well. They say, no, we need to back this person. And by the way, you learn that, and I know I'm one of those. I need to do the same for people, in my team. But it's a big one for big leaders to protect talent and to sponsor talent and allow them to learn and make mistakes and help them. So you can only do that when you have a climate and a culture that allows the leaders to develop and evolve.
Yeah. Yeah. And, and so many leaders get so wound up in their own ego.
Yeah.
And it's all about me and so on. And at some point you realized early on, it's about them.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's about making sure they're happy and successful and so on. It's not about me. And if I do the best job of, kind of charting a path, and then and then nurture, develop, push, cajole, energize those people, all kinds of good things can happen.
Yeah. Yeah. You unleash the power. Yeah.
Everybody is looking for, what is the increment that you can create here? I already bought this, and in private equity, this is what I'm going to sell. So I don't really want to spend that much time thinking or talking about all of your problems here in what I bought. I already bought and paid for that. Now I want to know how you're going to hear. So now this very interesting playbook that you have, kind of articulated very quickly, and the way that you describe it as core plus a little more and perfect store.
Yeah.
I mean, it's so clear, it's so simple, but it's also so profound. of, hey, now my playbook is going from, I know how to turn something around. I can fix something that's broken, but no, there's no medals that are handed out for fixing broken stuff.
Yeah.
People will be appreciative, but they're going to be really excited, when you see something where value creation is off the hook, which of course you created in the Middle East.
Yeah, so that was it was a fun job, by the way. The Middle East is a fascinating region, and we can write a separate book on that as well. Maybe. And then another call came and said, okay, why not go to Southeast Asia, based in Singapore, and run the Southeast Asia business, which it was a jewel of Unilever the Unilever Indonesia business, which was a beautiful business listed on the Indonesian Stock Exchange, and the sort of the playbook was similar. Again, I stole the 2 times GDP plus inflation idea. Again, Southeast Asia was very similar in makeup. It was a great business, growing 3, 4, 5%, highly profitable. But again, how do we make it double digit? So again, we said there to make it a double digit business. So the new bit there was, and you and I have talked about that. This is the first time you have to, as a leader, you have to start leading leaders. This is the first time I sat in a head office, because in the Middle East, I had general managers in all the countries, but I was still quite operational. Singapore, at once, you become a leader of leaders. And the people in the different countries were running billion-euro companies, right? Indonesia was well over $1 billion. Philippines was huge. Thailand was over $1 billion. Vietnam had iconic leaders. Australia, New Zealand was a turnaround job with big people. Myanmar was uncovered. So it was, okay, we have a nice business, again, profitable business, but this was leaders on leaders with a head office job, much more a head office job. So how do you mobilize and co-create again? Although you have the authority, you have the hierarchical authority, but not yet the business authority as a young person coming in and say, well, I know everything better. So, and I don't. But then it's to say, okay, again, how do you raise the level of ambition and really co-create with the leaders a step change in the business? In terms of the hardware, it was the same, by the way. Let's pick a few categories. And at that time, I picked home care. I picked home care again because we started outside in. I could see liquid detergents growing very, very fast in China. And we were all in bar soap and powder soap, and liquid soap was growing very, very fast in China. So we said with the team, co-created, let's get liquid detergents in all the markets in 12 months. It's impossible. Central production. Well, we have to do it. So then we said, well, what can we do to do it in 12 months? We had London upset because, I said, the only way to do it is if we do it in each country, in each factory, and use the liquid soap. So we used the liquid soap factories in each country, and in 12 months, we had liquid detergents in all the markets. It was phenomenal. It was one of the big growth drivers.
This is a skyscraper by any measure, and a book that is really nice and rich and filled with lessons of experience and so on. And what's amazing to me is how you still have the details so fresh and clear and simple in your mind. I mean, wow. So I have a question for you, and I know that you're such an optimistic and positive guy. This is not going to be an easy question. What's the worst job you ever had out of all of that?
Honestly, there wasn't a worst job. By the way, I also don't carry baggage with me. It comes a little bit, and then you move on. What's gone is gone. I don't like it's like cancer. So don't. Hard job. The Sweden job was really hard. The Europe job was really hard. The Avon job what to do was not hard. How to do it was hard, and getting it done was hard.